Daughter urged Mom to give up on sick Grandma. But Mom shut her down. When Mom left for work, "Emma, don't forget to lock the door," Mom said, her voice heavy with exhaustion as she stood up from the kitchen table. She rubbed her tired eyes. Her shoulders slumped after a long day. "Mom, seriously, how many times are you gonna remind me?" 16-year-old Emma replied, her tone sharp with annoyance. She crossed her arms, her dark ponytail swinging behind her. "Not forever, just while Grandma's living with us," Mom said, her voice softening but firm. "If she wanders outside, she could get lost and hurt. And we'd carry that guilt forever." Emma rolled her eyes, her frustration bubbling up. "Mom, maybe it'd be better if she did," she said, her words dripping with defiance. Mom froze, her eyes wide with shock. "What do you mean, better?" she asked, her voice trembling. Emma's cheeks flushed, but she didn't back down. "You're always saying how tired you are of taking care of her." She shot back. "How can you say that?" Mom's voice cracked, her hands gripping the edge of the table. "She's not my mom, but she's your grandma, Emma." "Grandma?" Emma scoffed, narrowing her eyes as anger sparked inside her. "Where was she when Dad walked out on us? When she refused to babysit her own granddaughter? She didn't care when you were working yourself to death to pay the bills. She even blamed you for Dad leaving." "Stop it right now," Mom snapped, her voice shrill. She took a shaky breath, her eyes glistening. "I shouldn't have told you all that," she whispered. "I haven't raised you right. If you can't feel compassion for your own family, I'm scared." "What's happened to you, Emma? You used to be so kind. You'd bring home every stray kitten or puppy you found. But Grandma's not a puppy," Emma muttered, her voice bitter. Mom shook her head, her face etched with sadness. "She's already paying for her mistakes. Your dad didn't just abandon us, he turned his back on her too." Emma's expression softened, guilt flickering in her eyes. "Mom, go to work, you'll be late," she said quietly. "I'll lock the door, I promise." Mom hesitated, her gaze lingering on Emma. "Okay, let's not say things we'll regret," she said, her voice gentle but strained. She didn't move, though, her eyes searching Emma's face. "Mom, I'm sorry," Emma said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But it hurts to see you like this. You're only 42, but you walk like you're 80. Your skin's so thin, you're always exhausted. Who's gonna tell you the truth if not your own daughter?" Emma's voice rose again, sharp and raw. Mom's face crumpled, but she forced a weak smile. "Thanks for the honesty," she said softly. "Just make sure Grandma doesn't turn on the stove or the bathtub." Emma sighed, her shoulders slumping. I know, she said. "We're stuck babysitting her all the time. No life, no freedom. Mom, why don't we put her in a nursing home? They'd watch her constantly. She doesn't even know what's going on." "Emma, stop," Mom cut her off, her voice sharp with anger. "It'd be better for everyone. Especially her," Emma pressed, ignoring her mom's growing frustration. "I'm done listening to this," Mom said, her voice cold. "I'm not sending her away. How much time does she have left? Let her stay home." Emma snorted, her anger flaring again. "She'll outlive both of us. Just go to work." "Mom, I'm not leaving until I know you'll lock the door," Mom said, her voice firm. "I'm sorry I've put so much on you," she added, softer now. "Your friends are out having fun. And you're stuck watching Grandma." Emma didn't reply, her jaw tight. They stood in the small kitchen of their cramped apartment in Portland, Oregon, the hum of the fridge filling the silence. They didn't notice the door to Grandma's room was slightly ajar. Grandma, sitting quietly on her bed, heard every word. Her faded blue eyes stared blankly at the wall, her mind a foggy maze. She might not understand much, but the sharp tone of their voices lingered in her ears. Mom grabbed her coat and headed out, her footsteps heavy on the creaky floorboards. Emma sighed and walked into what used to be her room, now Grandma's. The walls were still painted the soft lavender she'd picked out when she was 10. Now, the room smelled of antiseptic and old age. "Grandma, you want anything?" Emma asked, her voice flat. Grandma's gaze was empty, her thin hands folded in her lap. "Come on, I'll get you a candy," Emma said, forcing a smile. She helped Grandma up, her frail frame wobbling as they shuffled to the kitchen. "Who are you?" Grandma asked, her voice small and confused. Emma's heart sank, but she hid it with a sigh. "Just drink your tea," she said, setting a cup in front of Grandma. She placed a single piece of chocolate candy on the table. Grandma's eyes lit up at the sight of it. Emma and Mom always hid the candy, rationing it out to keep Grandma from eating too much. Emma watched as Grandma fumbled with the shiny wrapper. Her thin, gray hair barely covered her scalp, so different from the vibrant woman she used to be. Emma remembered Grandma's bright red lipstick, her perfectly styled hair, the sweet scent of her perfume. Men used to turn their heads when Grandma walked by. Now, she was a shadow of that woman, her mind slipping away day by day. Emma's chest tightened with a mix of pity, sadness, and resentment. She couldn't sort out how she felt. A sharp knock at the door snapped her out of her thoughts. Mom must have forgotten something, Emma muttered, heading to the door. But it wasn't Mom. It was Jake, her friend from school, a senior with a lopsided grin. Mom didn't like Jake hanging around, so he always showed up when she was at work. "Hey," Emma whispered, glancing over her shoulder. "You're early, Mom just left." "I know, I saw her go," Jake said, keeping his voice low. "Sarah," Grandma's voice called from the kitchen. Emma froze, then turned to Jake. "That's what she calls Mom," she explained. "She thinks Mom's her daughter sometimes. Let me get her back to her room. Go wait in the bathroom and stay quiet. She's having one of her clear moments today." Emma nudged Jake toward the bathroom door. He slipped inside without a word. Emma hurried to the kitchen, where Grandma sat with an empty cup and a crumpled candy wrapper. "I want more tea," Grandma said, her voice insistent. Emma sighed, knowing it was pointless to argue. Grandma forgot things minutes after they happened. But she remembered her childhood like it was yesterday, even if she mixed up the details. Sometimes she didn't recognize Emma or Mom at all. Other times, like today, she seemed almost sharp, though it never lasted long. Was Grandma pretending, hoping for another candy? Or had she truly forgotten the tea she just drank? Emma couldn't tell. She poured another cup and set out one more candy. Grandma's shaky fingers struggled with the wrapper, her focus intense. When the cup was empty, Emma guided her back to her room. "Time to rest," Emma said, settling Grandma on the bed. She closed the door and let out a long breath. Jake peeked out from the bathroom. "All clear?" he asked. His voice hushed. "Yeah, come to the kitchen," Emma said, double-checking the door to Grandma's room. They sat close at the table, sharing earbuds and listening to music from Jake's phone. Emma closed her eyes, swaying to the beat, the music drowning out her worries. She didn't hear the soft creak of Grandma's door opening. She didn't see Grandma shuffle past in her faded robe, her slippers whispering on the floor. When Emma walked Jake to the door later, her stomach dropped. The front door was wide open. She rushed to Grandma's room, her heart pounding. The bed was empty. "The door," Emma gasped, her voice trembling. "I forgot to lock it. She's gone. Mom's gonna think I did it on purpose." Jake frowned, confused. Why would she think that? Emma's eyes filled with tears. "I said this morning it'd be better if Grandma got lost. Mom'll think I left the door open to spite her." Jake grabbed his jacket. "Come on, let's find her. She can't have gone far." Emma glanced at the coat rack. Grandma's old wool coat was still there. Her boots, too. "She's out there in her robe and slippers?" Emma's voice shook. "Maybe she's at a neighbor's," Jake said. "She could have wandered to the wrong door. I'll check the courtyard, you knock on doors." Jake bolted down the stairs, his sneakers thudding. Emma rang every doorbell on their floor, her hands shaking. No one answered. She gave up and ran outside, the cold March air biting her skin. It was March 15, 2025, and the sky was heavy with clouds. Jake was already searching the courtyard, peering under benches and behind bushes. "She's not here," he called. "Let's check the next block. You go right, I'll go left. First one to find her calls the other." Emma nodded, her throat tight, and took off. She checked the bus stop down the street, her eyes scanning every corner. No sign of Grandma. How long had it been? 30 minutes? 40? Where could she go in a robe and slippers? "We need to call the police," Emma said when she met back up with Jake, her voice shaky. "Hang on," Jake said, catching his breath. "What does she talk about most? Where did she like to go?" Emma frowned, racking her brain. Grandma's stories were jumbled, mostly about her youth. Nothing specific came to mind. She shrugged, her hope fading. "Let's keep looking," Jake said. You head toward the high school. I'll go the other way. The streetlights flickered on, but some were burnt out, leaving patches of darkness. Emma hurried through the shadows, her heart racing. She felt eyes watching from behind trees, though no one was there. As she neared Lincoln High School, a memory hit her. Grandma used to tell a story about sneaking back into her old school for a forgotten book. The janitor had locked the door, so she'd climbed out a window and nearly broke her ankle. She'd laugh every time she told it, her eyes sparkling. Even though Grandma hadn't gone to Lincoln High, she always brought up the story when they passed it. Emma pushed through the school's front gate, surprised to find it unlocked. The building loomed ahead, its brick walls forming a U-shape. She rounded one side, her sneakers crunching on gravel. Voices carried from the courtyard. Laughter, but not the friendly kind. Emma's stomach twisted. She ran toward the sound and saw Grandma standing in the middle of a group of 3 guys. Her gray-blue robe was smeared with dirt, her thin hair wild in the wind. One guy dangled an empty candy wrapper in front of her. When Grandma reached for it, thinking it was candy, he yanked it back. The others laughed, their voices cruel. "She's from the loony bin," one shouted. "Want a candy, old lady?" the first guy taunted, waving the wrapper again. "Leave her alone," Emma yelled, her voice cutting through the night. The guys turned, their grins fading. "Who's this?" the leader asked, stepping toward her. "Her granddaughter," Emma said, standing taller despite her fear. "Another crazy one," he sneered. "Want a candy too?" He held out the wrapper, his eyes mocking. The others closed in, forming a tight circle around Emma. She backed up, her heart hammering. Her back hit the cold metal fence, trapping her. The gate was too far to reach. The guys didn't laugh anymore. Their eyes were hard, predatory. Emma's breath caught as they moved closer. She swung her arms, trying to keep them back, but there were 3 of them. One grabbed her wrists, pinning them above her head. The others pressed in, their hands grabbing at her jacket, her hair. She couldn't move, couldn't scream. Panic choked her. "Get off her!" Jake's voice boomed from nearby. He charged toward them, his face fierce. 2 guys turned to face him, but the one holding Emma didn't let go. Jake tackled one, fists flying. Emma kicked her captor hard in the shin. He yelped and loosened his grip. She broke free, her hands shaking. A broken board lay on the ground. She grabbed it, ran to the fight, and swung at one of the guys. She aimed for his head but hit his back instead. He cursed and spun toward her, his face twisted with rage. Emma bolted for the gate, her legs burning. "Over here," a woman's voice called from the other side of the fence. "We called the cops." A man stood beside her, his phone in hand. The mention of police sent the guys scrambling, vanishing into the dark. Emma ran back to Jake, who was picking himself up off the ground. His lip was bloody, his jacket torn. "You okay?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Yeah," he muttered, wiping his face. They turned to Grandma, who stood frozen, her eyes wide with fear. She flinched as they approached, mistaking them for the attackers. "Grandma, it's me, Emma," she said softly, touching her arm. "Let's go home." Grandma blinked, her face confused. "Emma?" she whispered. "I'm waiting for Tom. His classes are almost done." Emma's heart ached. "Tom's not in school anymore." "Grandma," she said gently. "Come on, it's cold." Grandma's lip trembled. "I heard everything," she said suddenly, her voice clear. Emma froze, her pulse racing. "What did you hear?" she asked, dreading the answer. "Sarah wants to put me in a home," Grandma said, her voice breaking. "Don't let her, Emma. Please don't." Emma's throat tightened. Maybe Grandma understood more than they thought. "I won't," Emma promised, her voice thick. "Let's get you warm. You'll catch a cold out here." "I don't want to go to a hospital," Grandma whimpered, clutching Emma's hand. "You won't," Emma said, forcing a smile. She and Jake guided Grandma home, her steps slow and shaky. Back at the apartment, Emma helped Grandma change into clean pajamas. She made her a cup of hot tea and slipped her one last candy. Grandma smiled faintly as she unwrapped it. Emma tucked her into bed, pulling the blanket up to her chin. "Sleep tight," she whispered, closing the door. She turned to Jake, who stood in the doorway, his face bruised but smiling. "How are you getting home looking like that?" Emma asked, eyeing his torn clothes. "I'll manage," Jake said with a shrug. "You were brave out there." "Me?" Scared out of my mind. Emma admitted, her voice shaky. If you hadn't shown up. It's okay, Jake said. But I'm sorry, I should have locked the door. Emma shook her head. It's my fault, not yours. She locked the door behind him. Double-checking it, she sank into a kitchen chair, her body heavy with exhaustion. Her hands still trembled, but the panic was fading. She thought about what Mom had said about guilt. If they hadn't found Grandma, that weight would have crushed her forever. Relief mixed with shame as she replayed her fight with Mom. Mom had it so much harder. She'd cared for her own mom through cancer for 2 years. Now she was looking after her ex-husband's mom, out of duty and love. Emma was only 16, she had years ahead to live her life. But Grandma? Her time was running out. Let her have peace in her confusion. Her childlike moments, her fading memories. Emma's chest tightened at the thought of Mom growing old like Grandma. What if Mom forgot her one day? The idea was unbearable. She wondered if losing your mind was worse than losing your health. No, she decided, any illness was cruel. She wished people could just pass gently from old age, free of pain. Life felt so unfair. If Grandma was being punished, why were Emma and Mom suffering too? Grandma didn't even seem to notice her own decline. Maybe that was a strange kind of mercy. Or maybe this was all to teach Emma something: compassion, strength, patience. To make her think twice before speaking or acting. She felt older tonight, like she'd aged years in a few hours. When Mom came home, Emma was still at the kitchen table, staring at the wall. You're up early, Mom said, dropping her bag by the door. Her face was lined with fatigue, but her eyes were warm. Everything okay? Yeah, Emma said, managing a small smile. Want some tea? Sure, Mom said, sinking into a chair. Emma set 2 cups on the table and placed a candy beside each. Their eyes met, and they burst into laughter. The kind that bubbles up from relief and love. They laughed until their sides ached. The tension of the day melting away. Maybe, Emma thought, forgetting could be a gift for those who couldn't face their past. Everyone wants to live long, but no one wants to grow old.